Hi guys, welcome to Windsome Cottage Garden. My name is Hannah and I'm so glad you decided to join me today. We are in the home garden and it is time to pick up where we left off in our back sunbed. If you're new to my channel, welcome. Thanks for joining me today. I moved to this home last fall, almost a year ago to the day I'm filming this actually, almost exactly. And I brought with me a ton of different perennials, mostly splits from my old garden that have been in nursery style containers being watered all summer. And now that the weather's getting a little cooler, it is time to finally work on this big sun border. Most of my property is pretty shaded, but I have this one section up near the house that gets a lot of sunlight and really just bakes. Now there is a lot of prep work that needs to go into this. So we started this in a video a little while ago that I will link. But it's time to pick it back up, and I think this is going to be split into a series of videos because it's going to be a huge project that involves moving things around in addition to planting some of the plants I brought with me. So I'm going to get you guys set up and we're going to dive into working on the edge. In my last video, I did the line, and now I'm just going to come through and start digging it out so we can get the cardboard mulch started. You're also going to be noticing that I'm wearing a back brace. I've had some lumbar back issues, and so it's mostly preventative to help me keep good posture as I am doing this. I just wanted to mention that in case you were like, what's wrong? Same old, same old. Anyway, let's get started. I thought I'd pop in here once in a while and give an explanation of what I'm doing. And what I do when I'm establishing a line like this, after I have the line spray painted like it was at the start of this video, I will come through with the spade and just take it along the edge of the line. After I get a certain distance, I'll go back and do it perpendicular to the line I cut, so I'm creating small little sections that I can flip up of the turf. Finally, after that's all done, I will go back and use this spade again to just do a little bit of lifting before getting down on my hands and knees and fully taking it out. At the end of this whole process, the other thing that I will do is come along with a little hand trowel and clean out that trough so that there is a nice clean line where the grass roots are very clearly severed, and it gives a great space for the mulch in this new bed to be packed down into to help prevent it from spreading. I also will only show this once, but we have some dips along this fence that my neighbor put in that we are adding the sod to upside down so it dies to help bring some soil in without having to buy a ton of soil. As I finished along this trough, my dad is going to start removing the plants that were here. A lot of these were planted by the former owner 10 plus years ago, And what you might not be able to see from this distance, but I'll talk about a little bit further in depth later, is that there is landscape fabric all around the base of these plants. Furthermore, they've been planted too close to the foundation of the house. Many of them grow quite large, or should if they hadn't been hampered by the fabric, and they didn't have enough space to get to their natural size. So my dad has started kind of digging them out. We're going to save a couple bits here and there to use as we can in other parts of the garden after giving them proper space. And we also decided that it was going to be a lot easier for me to take all the plants that I'd already kind of laid out and move them out of the way so that there can be a nice clean slate. The other thing that I discovered, which was interesting, and was when I was doing this line, I have a septic field, which this bed is not going over the drain field at all, but it does go over one of the tanks just ever so slightly. I discovered why the grass died on top of it, because it only had about 2 inches of soil before the tank. Usually the tank is a little bit deeper, and I'm not surprised that the grass died, especially when it got really hot earlier this summer. We're trying to figure out what to do there. I think for the garden bed section, I might plant some sedum. Either way, we're going to have to come up with something else. I also did my best to try and move the camera around to get you guys better angles, and every once in a while I forgot, like I did right here. You're going to see me in a moment working on this boxwood, and it would have been better if I'd moved the camera. I'm sorry. But one thing I did want to talk about when we're removing these things, and this was one we were trying to save, because there was fabric here, my dad ended up finding it was easiest to kind of cut it into sections with a Sawzall. And the roots underneath this fabric were in soil that was completely devoid of any nutrition. And it was so dry. Even though this area had been irrigated, the fabric they used didn't allow a lot of water to penetrate it. So I am shocked most of these looked good. What we were able to save was in quite rough shape, and we're trying to baby it along. But some of the things in this area were not able to be saved, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. We also ended up having to bring some more soil in because there was a dip really close to the base of the house where water pooled. The water that wasn't making its way down into the soil would just sit there and turn it into a muddy mess. So we brought some soil in just to even it out with the rest of the bed and take the dip away from the foundation of the house to prevent water issues in the future. As you might have guessed, it is a new day, but we now are working with a blank slate. So let's see how the area is looking. We took out everything that was here. Some of it was transplanted, the 2 boxwoods, which I'm actually going to probably save for another video because I have some other plants that are going to be going in there. So you saw them being removed. There'll be a future upcoming video where they are going to be planted in the front of the house. Had intended to save, there was a Wigelia you saw me trim back. There was fabric in this whole bed, which I believe I mentioned, as well as edging and hoses that had been abandoned. And the problem with planting landscape fabric in beds like this, especially when you do it so close to the base of plants, is it really strangles them. So for instance, right here, you can see there really was no point in saving this. Half of this was growing on top of the fabric. It also had done very strange things to the crown of the plant, which was rotting out. And while it looked healthy, this is not worth babying along, especially for a plant that I didn't have strong feelings for. So let this be a warning that it's really landscape fabric. The only good use for it is under stone, especially if you were going to continue mulching on top of it. We still have some around this rhododendron azalea on the corner of the house that I'm planning on keeping. And it's all intermingled with the base of the plant. We're going to take out as much as we can, but the reality is it's going to limit the lifetime of this plant because it's there, even if we remove most of it. I also had edging. Like originally the edging was probably like 2 feet off, and it came around this plant and curled. This is going to be something we tackle in the distant future. But it came over here, and it's really, it's a pretty plant. I think it's doing well, but I just question the longevity of something like this. This is not the best use of fabric. And it was really frustrating because it was 3-4 inches deep. So there was like 2 layers in some areas. Like, I think they were thinking it'd be easy, but when you continue to mulch on top of it, or you don't maintain the grass line, then there's absolutely no point. It doesn't mean no work. It's really only good under rocks where you have no intention of adding any organic material that will break down and things can root into. Anyway, this is mostly blank. We have a little barberry that is going to be moved to the front somewhere, but everything else is gone. I saved a little bit of lily, a little bit of iris, and the 2 boxwoods got moved. But I think this is probably going to be a good place to end this video. Yeah, so this was part 1. It involves a lot of work. Part 2, we're going to coming in with cardboard. We need a little more soil to level out the area. I don't know if that was fully captured, but we brought in 1.5 yards, and we still, because there's this big dip there, we still need to bring some to feather along. So we need to go get some more soil. And then after that, I'm going to come in with cardboard. We will plant these guys, and then we're going to mulch on top of it. I also may or may not continue this line because I just stopped it, and I think in retrospect it would have been a lot nicer to finish this bed even if I wasn't ready to plant it quite yet. But blank slate, ready to go. If you don't want to miss a thing, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like this video if you enjoyed it. I really appreciate you joining me, and I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye.